Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Apple, Spotify, or Google, please leave a 5-star rating. Heads up, guys, I have two big interviews coming up for you all. Tomorrow, I will be publishing my interview with Hugo Filion, who is the co-founder and CEO of Flare Networks. And we talk about the upcoming Flare token distribution, which will take place in January. I asked all the respective questions that you guys wanted me to. For example, if you had your funds on Celsius, what is your alternative? What are they doing to try to fix this? And much more. So we discuss a lot of things. Also, I will be publishing my interview with Congressman Bill Huizenga on Monday. You don't want to miss that one because he's part of the financial committee which oversees the SEC. We talk about how they're going to keep Gary Gensler and the SEC accountable, and this is going to be when they, take full control of the House in January and kick things off there. So make sure you got that subscribe button enabled and your notifications as well, because these interviews are going to be really insightful, guys. Now let's jump into the news. Now, many of you may have seen the hearing yesterday where Kevin O Leary testified before Congress talking about the FTX situation, and he really tried to pin and blame the downfall of FTX on CZ and Binance, which I think a lot of people see through that as a farce. That is nonsense. It's clear he's trying to put as much blame on CZ while giving Sam Bankman-Fried a pass, right? He's been going on TV in the hearing. He's like, we have to go through the whole law process to see if Sam Bankman-Fried actually did something wrong. It's kind of ridiculous because we see a lot of things, even what Sam Bankman-Fried said himself about what they were doing at FTX and with Alameda Research, and they were the ones responsible for their own collapse and their own demise, right? They were taking customer funds off FTX and putting it in Alameda to trade. And then the person who was running Alameda was Caroline Ellison, who had no experience trading. She's the one-time girlfriend of Sam Bankman-Fried. It's ridiculous, right? It was a house of cards. A strong wind just had to come blow it down. And that wind was CZ tweeting. But if a tweet can take down your business, then it ain't no business, right? Somebody can just say, hey, I think your exchange token or whatever your balance sheet is doesn't look good. And remember, it didn't start with CZ. Someone leaked the balance sheet information to CoinDesk, who had published the article. CZ got wind of it and was like, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right here. And at the same time, Sam Bankman-Fried was trying to get as much regulatory clarity for FTX in DC, while, of course, trying to kick out the competition, Binance and the other folks. And CZ was like, no, not happening. I'm going to tweet about what I think is happening. And then that started a bank run. But once again, if you have a viable business and your books are in order, why the hell would your native exchange token going down put you out of business? That is not a good business model. And of course it wasn't. They not only were they stealing customer funds, they were printing tons of the FTT token, going out and borrowing absurd amount of money, and then positioning themselves as if they're the savior of crypto. They were going to go bail out Celsius and buy out Voyager. And they were, of course, doing massive marketing. So the house of cards fell, and Kevin O Leary was paid $15 million to be a spokesperson for FTX, and he's getting exposed. The more he tries to defend Sam Bankman-Fried and blame Binance and CZ, the more he's going to tarnish his reputation, and he's just going to look like a fool. And I'm really surprised that he's going this route. It would have been better if he just shut his mouth, and not say anything and say, look, let the legal process take its place, let it take place, and let's see what the conclusions and the results are. But I've been tweeting about it. I think he has to defend himself here because he did not do his due diligence. He was paid $15 million to promote. So if you can blame it on an outside third party and not Sam Bankman-Fried, not Alameda, it helps him. It helps his reputation. And that's what's happening. Now, CZ went on CNBC this morning and straight up called Kevin O Leary a liar. which he's not wrong. Kevin's lying and trying to put the blame on CZ and Binance. And, CZ had tweeted out about this, about Kevin and his connections and, Binance's position. So let me read through the tweet that he sent out. He said, it seems $15 million not only changed Kevin O Leary's mind about crypto, it also made him align with a fraudster. Is he seriously defending Sam Bankman-Fried? And he linked to the CNBC interview with Kevin O Leary from this week. He said, we exited, speaking of Binance, FTX 1.5 years ago in July of 2021. Since then, FTX invested in a myriad of companies totaling to $5.5 billion, including but not limited to, and he provided a full list. I mean, this is a huge list. So it includes like Skybridge Capital, Anthony Scaramucci, Yuga Labs, Exodus, and Voyager, and a ton of other companies. Now, where did this capital come from? The House of Cards, that was the FTT token, borrowing tons of capital that they didn't actually have. So once again, bad business practices. They didn't even have a CFO. They didn't have a full board. They didn't have any type of structure, no type of C-level structure at the company. So CZ continues. He says, on top of that, FTX spent money on Miami Stadium, multiple Super Bowl ads, baseball referees, F1, not to mention massive political donations and luxury real estate. Oh, and reprehensible misuse of customer funds. Worse than losing $15 million, you'd think that being used as the poster child for one of the greatest financial crimes in history would make Kevin O Leary think twice about before taking Sam at his word again, but clearly not based on his appearance on CNBC. So CZ not holding back the punches, and Kevin, trying to use a strategy. Oh yeah, let's blame this. Here's the words he's been using. This unregulated exchange, which is Binance and CZ, and they're the ones responsible. But it's like, dude, CZ wasn't stealing customer funds. CZ wasn't over levered and making political donations and buying all type of luxuries and doing mass marketing with capital they didn't have, right? CZ wasn't the one trading at Alameda and using customer funds to trade. So Kevin is completely off base here. Pretty pathetic what he's trying to do, but people see through it. People see through it because the one thing that he doesn't, well, maybe he does know, but he's trying to change the narrative. Sam Bankman-Fried's been on Twitter Spaces and talking a lot, and not once did he come out and say, oh, CZ's the one who did it. No, he's been trying to say, I don't know what happened in Alameda and what were the funds and this and that, right? Because the whole buyout with CZ happened over a year ago. So it's like, why are you blaming CZ now when you've been doing all this shady business? It's pretty pathetic what Kevin's doing here. And kudos to CZ for calling him out. So this battle is going to continue, I think, and let's see how long it continues in the media, because they've both been going on CNBC and on TV and to talk about this. Now, something else that's interesting. Congressman Warren Davidson, who's also part of the committee that oversees the SEC, has been a vocal critic of Gary Gensler in the SEC and has been calling for crypto regulations. He's also the author of the Token Taxonomy Act. He was on Newsmax, and he even tweeted out the following: I believe Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested before the congressional hearings this week because the SEC and other regulators did not want to give Congress an opportunity to ask SBF about their failed oversight. Why do you think SBF was arrested just before the congressional hearings? Now, I think this is very plausible, my friends. What he's saying, I think, sometimes, look, I'm not here to kiss anybody's ass or anything like that. Sometimes people make statements, and sometimes it may come off as conspiratorial, right? And it may not have any legs. It's just off base. I think there's some truth here. The fact that Sam Bankman-Fried agreed to virtually join Maxine Waters and the hearing on Tuesday, and he was supposed to join John Ray, who's the current CEO, to talk about these things. I don't think Gary Gensler and the SEC, even the CFTC, wanted him to talk, because if he was asked questions and he said, you know what, yeah, we met with the SEC and we met with the CFTC 10 times, and yes, we spoke to Rostin Benham, chair of the SEC of the CFTC, and Gary Gensler, chair of the SEC. You know how bad that's going to make those regulators look. You and I know, right, who are been following this closely, and we see that they've been trying to Gary Gensler has been trying to hide his calendar, and we know this happened right under Gary Gensler's nose, and he failed here, and he's going to try to distance himself from this failure. And you saw the day after the arrest, both the SEC and the CFTC both came out with their lawsuits, and that they're going to do X and this and that. Well, the Gary Gensler has often said, come in and talk to us. Well, Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX officials did come into your office, and you did nothing. You didn't do your job. You keep going around saying, I'm the cop on the beat. I'm the cop on the beat. Well, where were you, Mr. Policeman, when Sam Bankman-Fried was robbing billions of dollars from customers? So these regulators failed, especially Gary Gensler and the SEC. And of course, there was details released about FTX. With all the lobbying they were doing, apparently they were going to get some sort of free pass from the SEC, that they would be kind of the golden child exchange in the US. So once again, this plays into CZ getting wind of Sam Bankman-Fried trying to do this, trying to get a federal license in place for exchanges, and only FTX may have gotten it at that point, and I'm sure Coinbase as well. But he was doing things where he didn't want that free market. He wanted to be the monopoly. So I think what Warren Davidson is saying here absolutely makes sense. Gary Gensler and the SEC absolutely failed here. Now, some very funny and interesting news. Former President Donald Trump has released a trading card NFT collection. Man, you can't make this stuff up. So it says here, collecttrumpcards.com. Limited edition digital trading cards, only $99. They got a video and all that. And someone, Audrey Strobel, she did this great tweet, comparison of Trump then and now. So when he was in office in July 2019, he tweeted out, I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. Fast forward, of course, to December 15th, 2022. Collect Trump cards. They are NFT based, and they are actually minted on the Polygon network. And of course, the native token to Polygon is Matic. And you all know I'm very bullish on Polygon. I hold a Matic token. And the edition, it has about 45,000 NFTs. So, it's funny just because of the content and what it is. It's Trump in a superhero costume, Trump with a cape on and all kinds of stuff. So I find that hilarious. Some people are saying this is a grift and that he's trying to, just take people's money. But aside from all that, right? Aside from all that, just look at what's happening. Don't miss the adoption layer. He could have easily done Trump cards and do something printed, and it could have been digital where it's not an NFT, but they minted it on an NFT on a blockchain, guys. And on its face, I know some of you are going to say, who cares? It's I'm not trying to get political here. And I'm not saying I'm telling you to buy this NFT. I'm just saying it's pretty amazing, the dichotomy, right, of what he's tweeted out, and now he's minting NFTs, and it's seeping into mainstream. Everybody's going to adopt crypto and blockchain in one way or the other, whether it be directly or indirectly. They're going to be using it whether they know it or not. So it's happening, folks. It's happening. Don't miss that part of it. If you love or you hate Trump, right? Put those emotions and thoughts and feelings aside. Just look at the underlying adoption here. It's pretty incredible in my opinion. Now, finally, some not so good news that you guys should know about. Gemini, the crypto exchange, of course, owned by the Winklevoss twins. Well, there was a third-party incident which impacted Gemini with 5.7 million emails leaked. Users' emails and partial phone numbers were leaked in what Gemini claimed to be a third-party incident. So if you were a user of Gemini, just be aware, right? Maybe you need to change your email address, update your passwords, just make sure you have the secondary guardrails in place, like two-factor authentication, IP whitelisting, all that stuff, just recovery codes and things like that, because this is not great. This is like a hacker gained over 5.7 million lines of information, and who knows, what else they got. So heads up on that, my friends. Just be careful out there. One thing I recommend: when you sign up for an exchange, don't use a public email. Use one that you create that maybe, you're only using for exchange. That's personally what I do. It's not the one I use to, email my friends and whoever else, right? And I hand out to other people. It is a different email. So, just be careful out there, guys. Lots of stuff happening. And, as always, self-custody. Self-custody is the way to go. Exchanges, even though some are saying, hey, we're okay, here is our balance sheet, here's our audits, here's our Merkle tree audit, here's our proof of reserves right now. And even Binance CEO, he's come out and said, hey, I think we are okay, users don't have anything to worry about. I don't trust anybody right now, and it's not because I don't believe CZ, it's just we are in a very different situation. It's not a normal bear market. You had a lot of collapses, so you have the contagion of that. And it's also, from an economic standpoint, hard times out there. It is not like the bear market of 2018, where we weren't in some recession and Fed wasn't raising rates, and they hadn't printed the most money in the history of the United States, things along those lines. Is very, very different, my friend. So I'm self-custodying. The majority of my crypto are in hardware wallets, and I have my seed phrases backed up. And I recommend you all do that. Even if you're using a software wallet, a digital wallet that's self-hosted, where you have your private keys, store those safely accordingly and back them up. And just be careful out there, guys. Double check everything: emails, passwords, all that stuff. Have your security layers, and that'll help you sleep at night. So if another exchange goes down, that's okay. Your funds are not affected. You are self-hosted. You are self-custodying. So I would highly, highly recommend it. It's worth the investment to protect your crypto assets during this time. All right, my friends, that's the news. If you have any comments or thoughts, please leave them in the comment section below. Share this video, share this podcast, and I will talk to you all later.